So we saw the storming of the Capitol on January 5th. I want to talk about the storming of Capitol, which is the GameStop situation. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah, I do. This is
fantastic. You did hear about it?
It's a great story.
Oh,
the GameStop.
You told me you didn't. Yeah,
Where you go?
Let me line it up. Okay, so this is obviously an old story. I really wanted to talk about it 2 weeks ago, but obviously censorship got to us. Now, what happened was a lot of people on this 4 million member Reddit thread where they talk about trading and strategies and all of that. They realize that if they banded together, they can actually cause the establishment sort of like Melvin Capital and all of these big hedge funds a lot of damage. And so what they did was I sort of have to explain what it is. There's this thing called shorting, guys, and I'm not going to talk exactly about the specifics of it, but it's basically when you bet against where a stock is going. So rather than betting, for example, for GameStop, investing in it because you believe in the actual stock, you're betting that by the end of the month, it'll actually be lower than a certain point. Now, if you do that, then there's actually a lot of money in it. Now, a lot of these hedge funds basically they shorted this GameStop stock, and they didn't think that it was going to do very well. So what they did was, they call up their friends in the media, and they sort of write these articles about GameStop doing terrible, and it's on the downward spiral. By the way, GameStop, I think they also own EB Games in Australia, just so you sort of know what they do. They sell video games and video game equipment. Now, what happened was on about January 27th, a lot of these members of this channel on Reddit, for these 4 million members, they realized that, okay, let's try and cause these guys damage by investing in GameStop, because that means these companies will actually lose money, a lot of money on their shorts. And so they did. They invested a lot of money, not a lot on an individual basis. Some of them did, but the majority, it was just a few $100s, but together they did an enormous amount of damage. And so once the hedge funds sort of caught on to what was going on, and the price of GameStop doubled, which is completely overvalued.
Just quick jump in.
Sure.
It also triggers algorithms.
Yeah, it does.
Volume will trigger algorithms.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just the broker watching the price saying, "Oh my God, we must." No. They're using their own weapon against them. But go on, I'll jump in a second.
You're right. They have preset.
That's it.
They have preset digits where if GameStop, for example, and I would, if I were just watching this, if GameStop went over $200 a share, I would definitely see that as a wall, and I would buy in a ton. So in order to cover their losses, GameStop ended up having to buy in to cover their losses. So it even spurred the price up even further, and it almost got as high as 500 at one point, even farther. And this is how I know Elon Musk isn't an establishment guy. Even Elon Musk was getting on board.
You on that one, but go on. We'll talk about Musk.
But even Elon Musk was spurring it on and getting on the bandwagon, and also we had other people like Jordan Belfort from who's been dubbed the Wolf of Wall Street. He said, "We're not effing leaving. Hold the line." And it's really entertaining to watch this, because a lot of it, I think not. Was it 50%? I think it was 50% of these accounts on Robinhood. Robinhood being a shares sort of a place you can trade, and they had 50% of their members who actually owned GameStop. And so what happened was all these members on this channel, these 4 million members on this Reddit thread, they were going through these lists of shorts, including Nokia, including GameStop, and they were just buying shares in all of these companies just to hurt these hedge funds. And so it was the storming of capital.
This is, you don't understand that the market's utterly manipulated. When people say capitalism is the best system for underpinning a market economy, and then you balance it with political wisdom, that's correct. Whenever you see massive fortunes being made and massive people being damaged, it's not capitalism. It's cronyism. This is manipulation of the market by the big players. So, but they love using it as a stick to smash capitalism. Yeah. Therefore, let's control the people because they're too stupid to know what to do with their own money. Yeah. Point number one. So, all markets are manipulated, and you don't have to believe me. Just do your own bloody research, and I mean it. The crash of '29, the Great Depression. was utterly manipulated. And the congressional records from the US demonstrated with their own statements, their own investigations, it was intentionally done. They allowed everybody to get in. The big players pulled out, and then the banks shut down, and they shut down the banks. Now, by 32, Roosevelt was about to come in, and it looks like that was going to recover quite well. And then they got Roosevelt in, and Roosevelt made sure that they continued the depression by government interference in the system. The pain had already been experienced. And crashes aren't unusual. It's the depth and longevity of the crash which people believe is beyond our control. No, a crash will last 1, 2, 3 years depending on the severity. But what happens is the big players manipulate the market to a point of to overinflation, the bubble, and then they allow it to crash. Now they win, shorting and longing various stocks, and they buy for pennies on the dollar that which a few weeks ago would have cost a lot. They buy for virtually nothing. Now, this is an old strategy. It's been done since Mayer de Rothschild did it to the Bank of England a long time ago. Do your research, folks. So this was basically, and Robinhood's a great name. This is the GameStop people and the Reddit crowd.
Yeah.
Saying, no, we can fight back because we know how it works. So they triggered the algorithms and they damaged the hedge funds. But it wasn't because they had an intent to damage the hedge funds. They were protecting themselves against a move by the hedge funds, because the hedge funds will do this. They will inflate and crash, and they make money top and bottom. They make money. Right. A smart trader will make money on a downward market, and a bear market, and an upward market, a bull market. Makes money either way. And so they don't worry about it, but they manipulate it. And this isn't the first time this was tried. This was tried some years ago by another group. They didn't quite have the systems in place or the understanding amongst them. So no, this was a joy to watch, the hedge funds. And that picture, you've got a picture of the little girl hiding under the desk. Have you got that one?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
the Robinhood traders with $600 stimmy checks.
That's it.
And the hedge funds hiding under the desk.
And this was just, and I'm not suggesting this is going to last for long. What's going to happen again, because the hedge funds are powerful and they will destroy. Yeah. But for a brief moment, it was people power taking on. Taking on the big money.
And this is the thing. It's the latest iteration of populism basically rising up. And people keep saying it's, a right-wing populist thing. It's not. It transcends political lines. It really does. And just to close off the timeline, on January 28th, by about 48 hours after, the shares plunged as they were starting to spike again, because a lot of these platforms and brokers, they ended up suspending or restricting trading, so you could only sell. And that included Robinhood. And Robinhood was put under such strain that they ended up lifting their restrictions 24 hours later. But
look at the price at which it started and which the price it finished.
Yeah.
Happy days. Then that's a win. Now, no win lasts forever. Expect the counterattack.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
But that was a joy to behold.
It really was. And the funny thing is, if you think this is the end now with 600 stimmy checks, wait till the $1,400 stimmy checks arrive. People are willing to spend that kind of money to burn the system down.
And this speaks to the point you just made. This is populism. People should be free, and this is political freedom. And Australia one's big on political freedom, and we really are. Small government, minimal interference. It's your money, it's your life. Within the bounds of, obviously, don't interfere with other people, don't cause them pain. But if what you're doing is legal and reasonable, go for it. It's your choice. Live your life the way you want to live it, and whether it's trading stocks, whatever the hell it is. Political freedom is paramount, and that's when they start calling it populism, as if this is some crime against humanity. Get one of these imbeciles on mainstream media to define populism, and they can't. Right? But this is political freedom. You should have the right to earn your money and spend your money the way you want. Now, if you want to buy and sell stocks all day, fill your boots. You want to stick it in your mattress, fill your boots. Makes no difference. Leave the people alone. Get off their back, because I guarantee you, the moment we get into power, and we take the shackles off the people by giving back their money, we cut taxes to just the absolute minimum we need, give it back to them. You watch the Australian economy take off like a rocket. And it's an economy that the world hasn't seen since the United States took off. It'll be less brutal, though, because it was a tough time in the early days of the US with that massive individual freedom, but there was a high cost in human terms, which these days we don't accept as acceptable.
You're saying late 1800s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a brutal time.
Yeah, it was.
It was like the Industrial Revolution in England. You get these imbeciles that say, yes, free market economy, absolutely.
Yeah. Kids working in coal mines.
Say the elephants as they dance around the chickens, and kids in coal mines, and kids dying in chimneys because they had chimney sweeps and stuff like that. But it was okay because the economy grew. Please, we've evolved beyond that. Yes, we want as much freedom as possible, but not to the point where the people are crushed. Because human nature is not a nice thing. It has the capacity for great kindness. It also has the capacity for great brutality, and that's where a wise small p political leadership of a country keeps us balanced. As my father once said, when I was asking him about what left and right meant a long time ago as a little boy, and he said, well, what's more important in a car, the brake or the accelerator? And I said, well, both. It depends if you're going uphill or downhill. I said, good. He said, and you need a steering wheel? I said, yeah. He said, of course you do. That's politics. You got to steer, you got to accelerate, you got to brake. As long as you do it within the bounds of freedom of the people, it's fine. And the Australian economy has never seen this. The Australian people, certainly in the last 50 years, haven't seen it, because in the first half of the 20th century, in the middle particularly, this is the golden era. We rode on the sheep's back because our wool exports were so successful. It was massive. It's like our iron ore exports now. Except now we're selling to crooks. But it's the same thing. The economy will take off with such speed that people won't believe how good life can be, because they have been crushed to the point where they think life is intrinsically difficult. No, it's been made intrinsically difficult. The globalists have crushed the middle class. They've made it difficult to get ahead. They've made it impossible for a parent to stay at home to raise their kids, which is the best place for a kid to be raised, by their own parents. They've made it impossible. They think this is normal and natural, but it's not. It is anything but. It is absurd, it is wrong, and we can do a whole lot better.
But you do see why I make these comparisons between you and a guy like Jimmy Dore. I keep using him because our audience can only retain so many American progressives in their mind. But Jimmy's a great example. He talks about crony capitalism all the time. Crony capitalism. Big Wall Street bankers trying to screw the little guy. And you sound exactly the same.
That's because the truth is the truth is the truth. And because people are busy, they get this capitalism this and socialism that. You only got two choices. No. Just think about it. And that's why, once again, for the people new to the show, it's not about left and right, it's about right and wrong. And once you get your philosophy right, once you understand who you are, where you're going and why, every decision is simple. What do we do here? I'll give you an example. I spoke about it some time back when Trump directly interfered with the stimulus. He borrowed a ton of money and shoved the money right to the people. Now, Milton Friedman fans would be wetting their big boy pants because the government shouldn't interfere. Well, really, you have got these malevolent forces that are crushing the people. Of course, it's a government's job to do it. And the reason it worked was, it wasn't just borrowing a ton of money and giving it to the banks like Obambi did. No. Trump borrowed the money and gave it straight to the people. So he kept the real economy going, and the false economy didn't get it. And that's why it was an intelligent and appropriate government intervention into what would be called a socialistic approach. It had nothing to do with that. Because we are not facing market forces. We are facing sociopaths with financial and military power at their fingertips that would make a Roman emperor weep with envy. People have to understand that we are not fighting what they think we are fighting. They are getting us to fight ourselves.
It's very frustrating. He was trying to give them $2,000 in stimulus checks, yet they were more interested in giving foreign countries money, and I went through when you were gone with Romeo on the money they were giving. What was it? Hundreds of millions of dollars to Pakistan for their gender, education programs. It's like, come on, guys.
Oh, man.
Like, did you know that the money that the total amount of money that stimulus payment, the last one before Trump got in, the $600 stimmy checks which just arrived, that if they used all of the money, it would have been $2,600 for every American, not $600. So where did the $2,000 per American go? It went to all these other countries.
And that's the purpose, and I've been saying it again. The only purpose of politicians and governments is to take money out of the pockets of the working people and handing it to the people who are backing them.
Yeah,
it's just a transfer of funds. It's a wealth transfer, and every politician's job is to transfer it from your pocket to some crook somewhere else.
Yeah, 6 million to former presidents.
You know, can you imagine a politician had to approach this job and understand there's a massive element of service to it? You don't get rich in politics. You shouldn't get rich in politics.
Yeah, Trump donated every
service.
paycheck.
It is service to the people.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about it. Term limits, absolutely mandatory. I don't care how heroic you are. Once you're done, get out. It's breathtaking the way they get on with it. But anyway, they just want to hand over money. They hand over your money to somebody else.